Well, good morning, everybody. Good to see you here. Happy friggin' Sunday. Happy friggin' Sunday. The Beatles, cheers. How is everybody? Hope you guys had a good community day yesterday. We had a ton of fun winning five crowns overall. Absolutely kicking butt. It's good to see all of you here. We got to Matt Rubin, Cutthroat Comics. Good to see you guys. Glad you guys are playing Fortnite off stream. That sounds like a lot of fun. Pook Ninja, EGM Sundays are back. They are indeed, my friend. Welcome. The Mighty Mutron is here with a Morning Legends. Legends Club is here for you guys. Ian, good to see you. It's the Lord's Day, indeed. Indeed, my friend. We got some focus here. All right. We are, man, it's been a while. I think it's been like a month. We are on issue 41. And as we can see, these issues are getting very big. Go ahead. Insert joke here. Very big. And we're just getting into the prime of the 90s. We're in December 92. So meaning in the timeline, we're in November 92. We're close to 93. Soon, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get all the CD-ROM goodness you can shake a stick at. Soon. Oh, you want the Black Knight skin, Matt? Yeah. Well, if you level, what's I gonna say? If you level just regular, every pass you have, boom. Right? I don't have any jokes. That's what she said. I don't have that. That's what she said. Prince of Persia. This bad boy is 300 pages, so we're going to comb through this. Anything that tickles your fancy, guys, make sure you let me know in the chat, and we can certainly go back to it. Where were you in December of 1992? God only knows. I can't remember. 92 was one of my very favorite years of existence, though. I can tell you guys that. Great music, like I've said before, great movies, and certainly great video games. The biggest and the best issue so far. Check it out, Chester Cheetah. Sunset Riders. That was a fun side-scrolling shooter by Konami. Came out to the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, I believe, back in the day. You're fed up with today. My origami company just folded. Says the Mighty Mutron. I need like one of those drum fills. Okay, we are into the editorial by Ed. He's back on editorial duty, and it's kind of screwing me up because it's slanted a bit, but we'll get to that. Let's move this over here so I can see. Can the bigger and best get even bigger and better? I'm guessing that they're referring to the magazine. That was a question all of us asked each other last month after working long and hard for the past 3 months on EGM's new look. We sat back and looked over the November issue. More importantly, we waited for your response. Every letter, fax, and call that came in got our undivided attention. And while we were encouraged with all of the positive comments, we felt that there was room for improvement. There were some areas which could be made even better. So, I should say, I've told you guys it's been my favorite game magazine for all of eternity. And just the fact that they're asking for constructive feedback, where I know that a lot of people would have too big of an ego, too many companies would have too big of an ego to ask for their readers' thoughts and opinions. EGM has done this consistently, and I really tip my hat to those guys. Readers like the large size of the November mag, so we made this one even bigger. A total of 292 pages. This issue is the largest video game magazine ever published in this country right now. So we have history in the making. Raj is here. Do I like Conan movies? Last night I finally watched the first one with Arnold. Oh yeah, dude, that movie is perfect. Perfect film. Yep. Second one is not too bad. I like that one as well, but the first one is a cinema masterpiece. We're now placing added emphasis, to our loyal subscribers, not only to do sub copies, now to go through via quick class mail. So subscribers of EGM get theirs quicker, which is nice. This issue represents a visible difference between the newsstand copies and those being delivered to your home. Subscribers will now not only save money, but also receive extra bonus items that won't be included in issues. I wonder if the early devs at YouTube were like influenced by stuff like this. I can't help but to think that they were, which I think is pretty cool. Although EGM is very different, there are some things that that won't be changing. You're guaranteed to get the most up-to-date information, news, and tricks found anywhere in the country. For example, check out our new Street Fighter 2 character versus same color character trick. More Street Fighter goodness, of course. Just as video games have evolved from 8-bit to 16-bit and now to CD-ROM, magazines must also evolve to best suit the changing needs of the new style of game player. We hope you like the new EGM. If you get a free moment, drop us a note and tell us what you think of the format. We'd love to hear from you. Cheers. Oh, the LJN wrestling games. Who remembers these bad boys? We got Macho Man, Randy Savage, and the Undertaker. Ultimate Warrior. Jeez. All right, our letters to the editor. It's been a little bit. I think we haven't done this for about a month, and it wouldn't be EGM in the early 90s without a ton of Street Fighter letters. Of course, letting us know that this is one of the most popular games of all time. Let's just read a couple of these. We're not going to go through all the Street Fighters. Street Fighter Mania continues. I would like to know if there are any more codes for the Super NES version of Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior. My friend says that there is a super secret boss code and that Capcom is holding off on releasing it until 1993. Is this true? You seem to know more about it than anyone else. So what's the story? I'm just going to read the return here. Out of the mail that we get here at EGM, perhaps the most asked question is whether there is a code to play the bosses in the Super Nintendo version of Street Fighter 2, where officials at Capcom swear on a stack of Bibles that the boss code does not exist. They also believe that the character versus same color character trick was non-existent as well. It comes as no surprise to hear that there are a lot of different versions of Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition games out in the arcades. All of these are bogus and none are authorized by Capcom. Capcom is working on their own set of upgrade chips. Yeah, so again, I don't know if you guys remember going to the arcades playing Street Fighter 2 in the early 90s. But, we've talked about stuff like there was like Street Fighter 2, the Rainbow Edition, was basically, a fan hack of the game. Programmers going in there, not licensed by Capcom, making tweaks to characters. I never, to this day, played any of those, the Rainbow Edition. I just remember, like a lot of the fake Star Wars content we were getting at the time. It's like, this is not done by the creators. It didn't feel right to me, and I just didn't want to support it. Maybe that's why I'm still not into the mod community with games, and I think it's great that developers allow people to do mods and stuff like that, but it's just not my thing. What's going on, Willie Lowe? Good to see you, buddy. The fake Star Wars content. I would say like there was a lot of fan films back in the day. Also the books. I shouldn't say fake for the books. The books were licensed by Lucasfilm, but George always said if he wanted to come in and kind of, make his own origin story, we talk about the Boba Fett origin story a lot. If he wanted to do that those books would no longer count. So that's what I mean by that. So I read some of the books, But I always knew that George, if he wanted to continue, that stuff would kind of get erased. So I didn't spend a lot of time on it, even though a lot of those books are better stories than we got now, for sure. Who remembers Software, etc.? We never had this in Canada. This is one of the companies that were swallowed up to form GameStop back in the day. Here's a nice little Christmas advertisement. Good to see Software, etc. It would have been cool. Anybody shop there back in the day? What was the decor like? Was it similar to Electronics Boutique, or what was it like? Babbage's, Toys R Us, maybe, where you had the little slips. Look at all these games. These incredible games. Just the art on some of these. Even like the sports stuff I love. I love the old EA stuff. The NBA, the NHL. And in the States, the Sega CD was $299. You didn't have them over there. Yeah, we didn't have them in Canada either. Interesting. Speaking of Star Wars, we have a letter. Oh, it's Electronics Boutique style. Very cool. Very classy looking, right? We have more Star Wars. I am a true EGM fan. Ooh, says Lance. I'm also a big Star Wars fan. I have all the movies, comic books, and practically every bit of Star Wars memorabilia available. That's pretty huge. Good for you, Lance. The two Nintendo games were fun to play, and based on your review crew ratings, I will definitely get the Super Nintendo version as soon as it comes out. But like any normal game player, I am curious about what is coming out next. The third part of the series was my favorite. Do you know when Return of the Jedi will be coming out? Will it be out for the Super NES? Good question, Lance. Wait until you try the Super Star Wars Kart. This is one great game. Don't expect either of the sequels out in the near future, however, as JVC LucasArts could give us what the artist's sketch of one of the actual scenes. What? Super Empire Strikes Back working title will be subject to change. Well, as we know, I don't know what they're talking about here, but Super Empire Strikes Back was used with the exact same engine. In fact, all three games and the Indiana Jones one are pretty much the same. Did I say Last Jedi? No, I didn't, did I? I meant Return of the Jedi. I don't remember saying Last Jedi. We still have a war going on here. Look at this guy, Carl. The best system, the Super NES or the Genesis. Willie says, someone in town here has all three of the Star Wars games CIB for $200. Just make sure they don't have that gold stamp representing the greatest hits, man. Ugh, you don't want that. Yeah, those games are pretty fun, man. They're hard. I was playing Indiana Jones again the other day, guys. Thinking about if I want to stream it again, but man, it's so hard. So hard. We're skipping the Street Fighter stuff. EGM goes to the birds. What is this one about? I have no idea. I could write praising your mag, or I could ask cute questions, but I thought I would let you know your mag is not just a people-orientated publication. What? Oh, yes. Although Jester is only 3 months old, she or he thinks they could play video games also. Oh, so this person is reading EGM to their parrot. I don't know if you can see that picture too well. I didn't look at the picture. Hey, Christoph, how you doing, buddy? Welcome back. This gal, I can't tell in this picture. It's hard to see. Pat Elms is reading Electronic Gaming Monthly to their parrot. I think that's pretty damn cool. Ian, I'm referring to Indiana Jones' Greatest Adventures, which is the Super Nintendo game. That basically it's just like the Super Star Wars games. It's so difficult. To me, it's just like stuff is flying at you from every direction. It's fun though, and the graphics are friggin' awesome. All right. Getting into the reviews here. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 gets the Editor's Choice Gold. Amazing. I guess, yeah, I will just read Steve here, I guess. So Sonic 2, Editor's Choice Gold. So Steve has been, what's he been up to here? I can't see this. What's my favorite game this year besides Street Fighter 2? It was probably Super Star Wars. It had great action, excellent looks, and enough challenge to make a winner. So we got Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Editor's Choice Gold, and Steve gives it an 8. He says, here's a game that oozes with a lot of hard programming work. This game is a graphic tour de force for the Genesis, but I thought the play was a little disjointed. There's definitely a lot to explore, but the game is manic in its approach. None of the levels are too linear, which is both good and bad. A nice follow-up, though. Who was a fan of Sonic 2? Most people say that was the best Sonic. Sonic 2 is pretty dang good. I gotta read Ed, just because Ed gives it a 10 here. Sega's mascot is back in a new adventure that could best be described with a lot of twos. Being twice as long, the game offers more enjoyment for the buck. As a two-player game, there are twice the fun, the levels are larger and harder, oh my. And Sonic's new moves are quite innovative. Overall, the best all-around game on the market. Well, I will say, having just come off recording the history of the original Sonic the Hedgehog, that these games are no joke. That first Sonic game, is incredibly difficult. It is incredibly difficult. And I do remember Sonic 2 the most. I was a big fan of Tails. The two-player mode, in my opinion, really fell short. It was cool that it was in there. I remember you could race with your buddies and stuff. I don't know. There was just something about Sonic overall that just didn't click for me, and I still stand by that. Obviously, it's a huge franchise and has its place in history. 2 was probably the last one I was really interested in, although I did buy Sonic and Knuckles because the technology of the card at the time I thought was incredible. Never owned 3, and I never owned Sonic CD. Let's get some highlighted comments up here. Pook says, Sonic 2 is the first game I put money down on a pre-order because if you put $5 down, you got a Sonic 2 t-shirt. T-shirts are some of the best pre-orders for sure. Yeah, Tails is a great character, Cutthroat, for sure. J Marks, good morning, my friend. How you doing? Good to see you in the chat. We're moving on. Oh, yeah, wait, we're going to read Ed's, right? Because he gave it a 10. A 10's pretty huge. So a perfect score from Ed. Sega's mascot is backed in a new adventure that can be best described with a lot of choose. I already read this. What am I doing, guys? What am I doing? Moving on. Death Valley Rally for the Super Nintendo by Sunsoft. I think, yeah, this is the Roadrunner game. Not a Looney Tunes guy. This is one I definitely would have passed up on. But look at these scores. 8, 9, 8, 8. Sunsoft, of course, an incredible company. One of the best back during this time. Steve gives Death Valley Rally an 8. This game has a great style of play and animation that left me with the impression of the Super NES's Sonic. The play is quick, however, and anchored by some comical setup straight out of the cartoon. The play seemed to be too fast in areas, but with a simple approach filled with plenty of advanced game, this was a joy. Yeah, so these games, again, like Sonic, and I had no idea what this one was about, to be completely honest. But that is, again, one problem I had with Sonic. And I think maybe it translated a little bit better in the 3D Sonics than the 2D, where I do appreciate the speed. I think it's damn cool. But I find that myself, you rarely get to enjoy letting yourself go as Sonic because you have to be, Jedi reflexes on what's coming up next. Maybe some people like that. I don't know. J Mark says, I remember renting Death Valley Rally. Wasn't a bad game, but never really grabbed me. Yeah, and I guess, Jay, along those lines, if you were a Looney Tunes fan, Warner Brothers fan, it probably would have connected with you more. I've never been a huge Bugs Bunny fan, so it would have been one I passed on. Desert Strike. Who was a fan of Desert Strike? Was that Den? I can't remember. But I know one of you guys were talking about Desert Strike back in the day. I think it was Den. This is by EA. Steve gives it a 7. So it looks like an isometric 3/4 top-down shooter. This is a very good helicopter action game. The many goals are all appealing. The presentation of the cart is also top-notch. Some of the play mechanics are a little jerky in areas, but for the most part, this game delivers on all of its promises. Not incredibly intense, but satisfying nevertheless. Well, there you go. Cutthroat. Oh, it was you. You like Desert Strike. Okay, there you go. Well, if you're looking for it for Super, Steve gave it a 7. Now, I got to ask you guys, how can you mess up Q*bert? How can you mess up Q*bert? Before I read anything, what I'm going to guess at what Steve is going to say is that it's an old arcade game and nobody cares. I'm just guessing. But nonetheless, this is done by NTVIC. I have no idea who that is. I don't recall that company whatsoever. But Steve gives it a 4 for Q*bert on the Super Nintendo. I'm going to move this over just a bit. First off, I must say that I'm a big fan of the original Q*bert. I played it for 40 hours straight once. Holy cow. The enhancement of the original would be extremely cool if the controls and interface weren't so poor. It quickly becomes frustrating when our on-screen hero fails to respond to the appropriate joypad moves. It's too bad. 4. Any Q*bert fans? Matt says, I played Q*bert on the NES, didn't know they released it on Super Nintendo. I don't think I did either. But, right, at any given point now, I think you can get any of these old school arcades on some kind of arcade compilation. I would say just get the arcade compilation and play the true arcade game, right? Super Valus, a really neat and kind of original side scroller from back in the day. This is, of course, made by Atlas. My buddy really, really into this game, but it never resonated with me. I think it was just too samey for me. Do you know what I mean? Super Valus 4 by Atlas gets a 7 from Steve. The latest in the Valus series does a decent job of carrying the theme over to the Super NES, although the graphics are pretty good. And the second support, well done. The action is very slow in the early rounds with next to no challenge except from the bosses. Once the game gets going, however, the payoff is pretty good. I got no opinion. I really don't. This doesn't make me want to go play Super Valus or revisit it for that matter. Here we go. Our old pals LJN with Spider-Man and the X-Men in Arcade's Revenge. Anybody play this one? Trying to remember what the box art looks like. I don't think I did, though. I don't think I played this one. 6 from Old Steve. The game has excellent graphics and some incredible music and sound effects. The interaction and storyline are also very well done. The game, however, is little more than a series of mazes that are littered with obstacles and a minimal amount of enemies to overcome. With more targets, it could have been better. John Awar, live over on Twitch. Good to see you, buddy. Willie Lowe will be returning to the show as of March 2nd, guys. March 2nd, he'll be back permanently for the EGM reads. So again, those of you who know Will, he's been balancing his work-life schedule, but he will be back for sure. J Mark says, I did, but it's been so long. I don't really remember the gameplay. Good music, though. Interesting. Mega Man 5. The Mega Man I know the least about, 100% out of the original 6 Nintendo Entertainment System games. Mega Man 5 by Capcom gets a 6 from Steve. And I feel like I have to read Ed's as well, just because the two levels of the reviews are so different from one another. But Steve gives it a 6 and says, another entry into the series that should have gone as 16-bit last time. The graphics, sound, and gameplay are all identical to previous efforts, with new robot creations and the new weapons representing the only change. There is no doubt the game is good, but Capcom has taken it as far as it's going to go on the NES. I shared these very same sentiments back in the day as I grew tired of Mega Man by the third game. That much is true. I appreciate it as a whole much more now. But back then in the 90s, I for sure was done by Mega Man 5. So I get it. I also understand that back during this time, nobody wanted the old technology. Nobody wanted 8-bit graphics. Everything was 16-bit. It was time to move forward. So I understand where Steve is coming from when he says this should have been a 16-bit game. I get it. Yeah, Steve goes back and forth, Jay. Ed, who is the one below Steve. So, sorry, Steve's on the top. Ed is the second. Ed is usually the one who is a lot tougher. Usually. I find Steve has, like, grumpy months, it seems. I don't know. I think he's just one of these guys. He's always about the latest and greatest tech, so I think he's just... we're almost into 1993 here. So I think Steve is just like so done with the NES, given that even the Super Nintendo will be almost out for 2 years at this point. But Ed gives it a 9. Who says the 8-bit is dead? Capcom did a nice update to the old series. Besides bringing Mega Man's sidekick Rush, it was good to see Capcom adding a few new twists like the cybernetic suitcase, Flip Top, and the new attack robot, Beat. Long after the hard bosses make this more... Hang on. Long levels and hard bosses make this one more than a one-night stand? Superb. What? Oh my God, Ed. Come on, buddy. Any Mega Man 5 fans out there? I've yet to meet someone who says Mega Man 5 is their favorite Mega Man game. But who am I to say? If Mega Man could shoot upwards, Pook says, I would love this series, but it bothers me that he can't shoot upwards. Yeah, I can see that. I don't know if they've ever tried that. Did they try that in Mega Man X? I don't know. It's like Ghouls and Ghosts. How in the Genesis version, to the arcade version, Ghouls and Ghosts, Arthur could shoot up. And then the Super Nintendo version, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, they took it away. Yeah, I don't know why. That's a good point, though. And look at this. Beautiful Capcom ad. Oh my God, do I love this. It is absolutely just beautiful. Boom. Right to the point. Help Mega Man turn Proto Man into spare parts. Look at that, guys. Who wouldn't want this framed in their game room? I know I would. For sure. John War says the Storm Eagle weapon charged does vertical. Interesting. I didn't know that, buddy. Thank you for the info. We are moving on to Batman Returns on the NES by Konami. Oof, 5. Yikes. The game reaches back to the original Batman for the NES. The graphics presentation is similar, but there is little technique. There are several styles of attack, but the problem in the gameplay lies in the lack of the real enemy character. In battle, they all respond the same way. Kill a bad guy and another one appears. So this is done by Konami. This is not done by the original Sunsoft developer. So that's too bad. Yeah, and there's nothing more frustrating in NES games than an constant enemy respawn, especially in the same spot. We've seen that countless times, especially in Ninja Gaiden 1. Sometimes you could be standing there and you hit an enemy and it just boom, boom, boom. They just keep reappearing. Yeah. Moving on to John Madden 93. Another solid entry by EA. Steve gives it an 8. Another successful follow-up to the series like its predecessors. Madden 93 is an all-out gridiron battle with enough options and plays to retain the realism of the sport and absolutely fantastic animation supporting the play. With new digitized scenes and graphic depictions of on-field events, this one is a winner. Mo, good morning to you, buddy. You didn't sleep in this morning. Good stuff. Good stuff. Crew Ball. Based on the rock band Motley Crue. I must confess, as big of a Crew fan as I am, I never did play Crew Ball. Anybody else play Crew Ball? I remember the artwork on it was, I think, the character that's somewhat related to the Dr. Feelgood album, I believe. I think that was, you guys remember? I wish they had the box art here. But they tried to have, I think Crew tried to have like an Eddie mascot like Iron Maiden, but it didn't really fly. Oh, I didn't even read it. 6, sorry. This is a solid pinball game, Steve says, with a lot of different screens, cinemas, and rock and roll music. The pinball action doesn't quite have the real feel to it. The ball bounces around without the real... What? I don't know that word. Inertia? Building up as it descends? I don't know what that is. My bad, guys. If you like video pinball, you can add this on the point of review. It's true to the theme all the way. Yeah, can anybody see that word? God, here's the Canadian school system failing us again. Where's JT to make fun of me? Moving on. Biohazard. What the heck is Biohazard? Biohazard by Sega. Why do I not know what this is? Although Biohazard's theme and appearance may be unique, the action is pretty straightforward stuff. Many of the battle areas offer truly challenging conflicts, but for the most part, I found the shooter to be treading on familiar territory with nothing in the way of real twist to perk it up. Inertia, I got it correct. I think that's the first time I've ever said that. Cheers, Mo. I know it's the Japanese Resident Evil, but this is not what that is, my friend. Pook says Biohazard Battle was the official name. Okay. Yeah, so it's a shooter. I don't recognize this one at all. Uh-oh, Sewer Shark. Uh-oh. Is this the first digital pictures? It is. It's under Sony's brand, but of course we know that this is a digital picture game. I am a sucker for full motion video. You guys know that. I love that stuff. Is it terrible? Absolutely. But I love it. And Sewer Shark for the Sega CD gets a 7 from Steve. Remember, this was a pack-in for the North American Sega CD back in the day. Sewer Shark, although also plagued by a color palette problem, works much better than any other games using video. The action is pretty straightforward. Guide the crosshair around the screen and take out the animated bad guys. The backgrounds and storyline are all delivered courtesy of the full motion video. Repetitive, but good. What would you say the best digital pictures game is? It's got to be Night Trap, right? It has to be. But I love this stuff, man. Jay says, I have a soft spot for full motion video as well. I'm right there with you, Jay. Nice, buddy. Nice. I think a lot of it was around this time I got a job at Microplay, which is a Canadian franchised gaming store that did rentals and sales. and the owner encouraged us to play all these games. So I think I just got to try all this, right? On top of that, the fact that I didn't have a PC that was good enough to play any kind of game, so I had no CD-ROM. So when we started to get stuff like this on home consoles, it was really cool. Wirehead's great. Yeah, we streamed that. Yeah, it's extremely cheesy, but I dig it. Black Hole Assault. 6 from Steve. Playing off the hype of Street Fighter 2 has created Black Hole uses the CD to provide some jammin' tunes and extra memory for great character animations. The action is one-on-one all the way with special moves that are pretty cool. The game doesn't have an abundance of variety, but it's fun as a 2-player game. And Black Hole Assault for Sega CD. I was never a big Sega CD guy. If I may say, I never had one when it was out. My good buddy did. He had the first version of the Sega CD, so I got to kind of play some of the games when I went to his place, but I never did. Never did until much, much later when the Sega CD was long retired. Oh, boy. There it is. Speak of the devil. The Night Trap. That's the game, along with Mortal Kombat, that started the modern ESRB. Absolutely amazing. We played this not last Halloween, but the one before, 2023. We played the limited run version on the Switch. I love this game. And I got to say that the limited run update of Night Trap adds a lot of quality of life to it. It really does. So I encourage you, Jay, I don't know if you've played any limited run games, but if you're a fan of the full motion video stuff, their update on Night Trap is really great. And Willie loves it too. Willie loves it. I'm still looking, and our game hunts, it's on the list. I'm still looking for the original red cardboard box release of Night Trap for the Sega CD, which I have not seen in a long time. Not the re-release, which is got the blue spine and the plastic. I'm looking for the red box original. Night Trap gets a 5. And we're going to read Ed's as well, because Ed gives it an 8. So that's a pretty big difference. So Steve says, although the full motion video in Night Trap is virtually seamless, the smaller color palette make many of the scenes somewhat difficult to make out. The acting is, on a whole, pretty bad, although some of the traps reach a cool conclusion. The game is too simple for my liking, but I'm glad to see Dana Plato got work. Dana Plato, of course, is Kimberly Drummond in the hit sitcom Different Strokes. And yeah, that makes the game great too, because I think she's awesome in it. 8 from Ed. Quite a difference here. Night Trap is a game that looks deceptively easy. This is because there are many things going on the particular video tracks that you can't see without a lot of trial and error and flipping from room to room. Although looking hokey, this just adds to the tongue-in-cheek humor. Not as easy as it looks. Spectacular use of video. It's amazing how there can be such different opinions. And I love it. It's what I love about EGM. What are you saying, Cutthroat? Took the game out of the stores because those senators. Yep. Those senators, we're not going to name names, watched footage of it and made the assumption that the game was about killing teenagers, which it's not. It's about saving teenagers from vampires. But not surprised that they didn't give it the time of day and just came to a conclusion. Kind of like what they did with Bully, but we've talked about that before. Moving on to Cobra Command by Sega for the Sega CD. I should say that it looks like Sega did publish Night Trap, but it is done by Digital Pictures. So Cobra Command gets an 8. The Sega CD version of the classic coin-op Laserdisc game scores some big points for presentation, but the execution is a little thin. You guide the cursor over attacking targets and it's presented via the CD's full motion video. The animated adventure lacks vibrant colors, but is the best showpiece. Okay, so all three Sega CD, well, two of them here. Steve has complained about the color palette, which, if you guys know too, the Sega CD games, the windows were really small so they could get the resolution somewhat clear as well. I mean, it looked pretty good up until we got the 3DO and the CDI, which had much vibrant color palette and would do full screen. The Sega CD, everything was always pretty much windowed. Cheers to everybody, by the way. Thank you for hanging out. It feels good to do a nice, relaxed, chill EGM read again. If you guys are looking to support the stream, gifted memberships is the best way to do that. Become a member yourself or gift some so we can grow the community. That is the best way to help support my content. We got Crow here. What's up? Good to see you, mate. Welcome back. We are moving on to Loom for the TurboGrafx. This is I don't know, is this CD? Oh, it is the CD-ROM. So this is when the Turbo Duo was out. This is by Turbo Technologies Incorporated, and it gets a 7. I think this is an RPG. This game brings new meaning to the term cerebral play. Loom invites you into a fantasy world with a completely new form of interaction. The process of acquiring new weapons to proceed through the game is interesting, and even though the pace is not lightning fast, the setup and execution of the concept are pretty good. All right. Anybody play Loom? I remember the box art. I do not remember the game. 7 to me, I know 5 technically would be the average, but 7 to me seems like the average. We got a couple more Turbo games, which is nice to see. Dead Moon, which is yet another side-scrolling shooter for the TurboGrafx. Another one. 7. This game was a real blast when I first played it over a year ago. It shows its age next to other blasters or shooters, but still remains a good addition to anyone's shooter library. The game's rich detail and smooth interaction is tainted by a short adventure, but the trip is worthwhile and guaranteed to put even top gunners to the test. I don't know about you guys. Even as we started this journey from EGM1, we're now on issue 41. I am tired of side-scrolling shooters. I'm tired of isometric top-down shooters. I'm just tired of them. And unfortunately, I would say that's the main genre that plagued the TurboGrafx. Now, I understand that's also, in some circles, what made the TurboGrafx really popular, because that style of game back then was extremely popular. I'm just tired of shooters. And the terminology shooter now is, usually first person. Back then, it was like these side-scrolling or top-down space shooters. Jay, I'm with you, man. I'm a big TurboGrafx fan. I really am. Especially as the years have gone on, I've learned to appreciate it much more. Well, it's not EGM giving them love, Cutthroat. Everything is based on release, right? So they just review games that are released. So it's not that they don't want to review TurboGrafx games. It's just there isn't any to review. They're very sparse, right? And now you have Hudson Soft doing all the heavy lifting. Now that NEC has jumped ship, Hudson is just doing everything. And you can't sustain a game console when you're the only developer. You just aren't. Willie says, I still wake up nightly at turning down that CIB bonk. The good news is we have it captured on video if you ever want to see yourself holding it, buddy. But I'm fairly certain that we'll find it again. And by the way, Will, if we really want that, I'm pretty sure Dawn will know what booth that is if we wanted to contact. Going through the footage of that, Will, and we're talking about our Toronto Game Expo video that's on my YouTube channel, guys. I saw the guys Interact Transfer ID, but I didn't see any name of his booth at all. But like the little Samson booth, I'm pretty sure Don would know who it is, dude. So don't fret. If we really wanted to find it, we could. Dontro, how you doing, mate? That was a good video. Thanks, and welcome on in, my friend. Good to see you. Happy Sunday to you, and cheers to everyone who's drinking coffee, tea, or whatever you're drinking. Abbey Road for you guys. The best albums ever. We did miss a lot, buddy, but there's always another video. Hit the Ice. Who remembers Hit the Ice? I thought that game was really, really cool. This, once again, I don't think is originally done by Hudson, but it's translated. So Hudson doing their very best to grab IPs. And for whatever reason, probably due to licensing limitations, these companies aren't allowed to put games. You know, if you were a Nintendo publisher, everything was exclusive for 2 years. So I don't know if that's why maybe Hudson is translating these games for the Turbo. But you cannot do everything yourself. So I don't hold Turbo to that. Competition was very fierce back in the day. 5 from Steve. This might sound cold, but Hit the Ice is nothing more than an average sports title for the Turbo. There was a lot lost in the translation from the coin-op. The graphics are good, but the gameplay suffers due to the oversized characters and imprecise controls. The Turbo needs to concentrate on features other than the Turbo Tap. What do you guys think about that, the Turbo Tap? I don't remember this one. I don't remember playing this one. Maybe I played 1 or 2 in the arcade, 1 or 2 rounds of it. This is the kind of NBA Jam of hockey, right? This is the over-exaggerated 3-on-3 hockey. Good morning, Batstan. How you doing? So because the game is good, and I'll defend Steve here a bit, Cutthroat, because the game is good in the arcade, doesn't mean that Turbo Technologies Incorporated made a good translation of it. So there's some companies that are really good at it. For instance, Sega. Sega is really good at translating games. A perfect example of that would be Strider. Strider for the Genesis. They almost perfectly translated Capcom's game onto the Genesis. But some companies aren't too great at doing that. We've seen bad ports of Ninja Gaiden, right? Alien 3 for the Game Gear. Oh my god. Surprisingly, some pretty good reviews. 7 from Steve. Similar to the Genesis version, the Game Gear Alien 3 deviates from the movie, but dishes out a solid piece of action. I gotta move this, guys, sorry. Solid piece of action and maze play that are all rolled up into one. As Ripley, you must collect weapons to take out the onslaught of alien monsters while locating the prisoners and releasing them from captivity. A nice adventure title. There you go. If you're a Game Gear fan, there you go. Bonk for the Game Boy. Holy mackerel. So on top of this all, Hudson is still making games for other systems as well. What, by the way, what's going on with this Lynx photo? Why is Pit Fighter red? I wonder if that's a printing error. Nevertheless, Bonk for the Game Boy gets a pretty solid 7. There's not much to say to knock this little guy. The game is Bonk, pure and simple. The technical limitations of the machine are really glaring, however, and it's often difficult to plot your course without losing sight of where you're going. But if you like the Bonk game, this portable version shouldn't disappoint. I'll pass. I love Bonk very much, but if I need to play Bonk, I can play it on the NES or the TurboGrafx. Batstan says, Alien 3, where the lights go out, it's almost impossible to play to not being able to see. You mean the Game Gear one? Never played it myself. Ren and Stimpy. Stimpy, you idiot. One of the best cartoons or shows in general from the 90s, man. So many Ren and Stimpy games came out following Simpsons, Beavis and Butthead. What other cartoon games came out? The 2000s, we got Family Guy, Futurama. But this was not uncommon to see. THQ created this bad boy. Dontro says, Ren and Stimpy was a fantastic game based on an external IP. Fantastic show indeed. I've never played the Game Boy one. I noticed they chose to show what looks like a cinematic here. 6 from Steve. This side-scrolling adventure game has some great intros and graphics that are true to the series. The action is well done, although there is very little in the way of heated battles. The game is more of an exercise in avoidance, since the main goal is to simply not get hit. May sound simple, but the game is actually not half bad. Okay. What's going on with Pit Fighter? They describe it, the classic Pit Fighter. Pit Fighter sucks so bad. It is so bad. I'm sorry if any of you guys in the chat like Pit Fighter. It's bad. The only thing it had going for it was the full motion video, which was state of the art at the time. But I remember even at that, it just looked terrible. The Blood Edition, maybe. Yeah, it does look like a Virtual Boy game, Jay. Absolutely. Absolutely. Nonetheless, it gets a 5. Good morning, Master Temple. Yes, Pit Fighter does suck. Steve gives it a 5. Why do I keep moving this window? There we go. You have to review this game on 2 levels. Although it bears the name Pit Fighter, you're likely to be highly disappointed if that's what you expected. The game you get is a decent head-to-head fighting game for the Atari Lynx. The graphics aren't great, but the controls and interface. Sorry, I need stronger glasses. But the controls and interface deliver a decent challenge. You couldn't pay me enough. You couldn't pay me enough to play Pit Fighter on the Atari Lynx. I agree with Willie. Willie says anyone who liked Pit Fighter is just wrong. Given the fact that, God, I mean, one-on-one fighters like this, there's so many to choose from. I mean, any of the SNK games, any of those, I would take over this. I just would. Yeah, you're right. It's Dontro says, let's highlight that. It's not even so bad it's charming, it's just so bad it's frustrating. Yeah, so it's like not even one of those angry video game nerd, like it's fun to make fun of games, right? It's just bad, man. It's like, I bring this game up all the time. It's like Way of the Warrior on 3DO. If you know, you know. If you don't look it up. But it's like that. It's like, I've wanted to stream that for a long time. It's one of Naughty Dog's first games, but it's so bad. It's not even like we can play it to make fun of it. It's just terrible. Mutron says, Pit Fighter was as fun as a trip to the dentist. Agreed. I agree, my friend. Look at this Sega Genesis Sports ad. Who's this guy? Is that Dick Buttkiss? No. Oh, look at this. Look at this thing. You guys know on the channel here, we're fans of all different bizarre, weird looking kind of controllers. Look at this thing. Long play or your money back. No need to push anymore. Why push on a D-pad when you can just have a touchpad? Plays great with Sonic 2. Plays great with Turtles 3. Plays great with Street Fighter. Wrong! Imagine trying to do Ryu's Fireball or Guile's Sonic Boom with this thing. No shot. No shot. Neil says, back in the arcade days of the early 90s, everybody put their quarter down for Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat. No one ever said, I got next on Pit Fighter. Yeah, Pit Fighter, Neil, you remember too, was always open. I want to give a quick direct to the poll here where I said earlier this morning, do we think we will see another Xbox console? And it's right at 50% here with 22 votes. 50% of you guys think we will see another Xbox. 50% say no. If it's my vote, I'm going to say we are not going to see another Xbox. If Halo goes to the PlayStation, which it looks like it is going to happen, come on, what's the point? Dick Buttkiss. It's a real guy. I don't know if he's a coach or not. Look it up, dude. I'm not even making it up. Good morning, Dale. Good to see you, my friend. Happy Sunday. Quarterman. Quarterman is our gaming gossip guru, who 99.99% of the time, all his rumors are true. So let's just grab a portion of the Quarterman here. There's a lot to read, so we're just going to read one here. Quarterman is giving a new thumbtack in the eye award for the most fecal corporate decision making of the month. While the initial demo of Atari Jaguar is truly eye-popping, the company's suits are rumored to have lobotomized the machine by taking out half its brains. The system now only 1 meg of operating RAM, erecting a brick wall in front of the chances of any super softs. Guys, Quarterman, I don't know. The way he speaks, holy cow. The system now has only 1 meg. Okay, we just read that. On the street with a dozen games by April, ? You're living in a dream world, pal. Look for Star Trek Deep Space. Then he just goes to his next topic. Look for Star Trek Deep Space Nine to be coming to a video game screen sometime next year. Okay. I'm not not in any state right now to read Quarterman. He's absolutely crazy. We're skipping Quarterman. My God. The Kansas City Taylor Swifts are going to win. Oh, yeah, the big football game is today. The Super Bowl. Who's watching the Super Bowl today? Sony to make CD-ROM with Nintendo. Very important piece of history right here. I'm not watching it for sure. Quarterman's half the man he used to be. I just can't read it today, guys. I can't do it. I can't read Quarterman today. Yeah, so we know what happened here. It's one of my favorite pieces of history to talk about. But initially, Sony was partnering with Nintendo to make the Super Nintendo CD-ROM. It didn't happen. But we'll get to that as the release comes closer. I think we got one of the CDI, 93 or 94. So it should be sometime in the next year, which is awesome. Who's winning? The Eagles will take it, Jay says. And Neil says, boo. Go Eagles from a Niners fan. Whatever you guys say. All I know is Joe Montana is still my favorite quarterback. So there you go. Take that, have you. Take that for how you will. Just to save his voice. No videos today, buddy. No. It's just this is a ton to take on by yourself. But I feel like you guys deserve EGM. So, we'll be doing it every other week until Willie comes back. How's that sound? I think that sounds fun. Leading Edge, Golden Axe 3, The Revenge of Death Adder. This is an arcade game. Looking pretty sweet. And Neil, I think, forgive my ignorance on football, guys. I think who took over Montana's records? Was it Brett Favre? I can't remember. I know Tom Brady's the greatest of all time, I think, stat-wise. But I remember Montana at the time being the best quarterback in history. And I just was so bummed out when I found out that another quarterback beat him. Same with Jordan. Jordan was always my favorite basketball player, and who's the best now? LeBron James, right? He's the best of all time stat-wise. Cutthroat would know this. But I remember being so bummed out that someone actually took Jordan down as well. I was like, man, Jordan's still my favorite. Street Fighter II Turbo Champion Edition. Who remembers the third entry in the Street Fighter series? Yes, Brady is best. Tom Brady's the best of all time? Okay. Well, for me, screw it. It'll always be Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, and Joe Montana as the best sports ball players of all time. That's just the way it's got to be. Look at this awesome ad. Look at this awesome ad. Turtle fans out there, everybody puts their hand up. The Hyperstone Heist for the Genesis. I saw our good buddy Josh JP Pepper was streaming this last night. Shout out to Josh. You're not thinking about going turbo, are you, Jay? What does that mean? What does that mean, buddy? It flew right over my head. Having an off day, my friends. Wayne Gretzky's about to lose one of his records. J. Marks, is he still the best overall, though, stat-wise, Gretzky? Or has he been overtaken? I remember like when Hall came in, Brett Hall, he looked like he was a real threat to Gretzky's records. Mario Lemieux was another one. But I don't think they ever beat Gretzky's records, did they? Oh, Wreck-It Ralph reference. Okay. Right over my head, buddy. I don't think I've seen that. My bad. I know. Gamer, and I've never watched Wreck-It Ralph. I know. I'm ashamed of myself. Completely ashamed. Look at this cool dude. Who's this cool dude? There's a lot of cool dude ads now. These are sports ball guys. Who's this? Anybody knows who this is? Let me know. Star Wars Pinball is great. Yeah, our local arcade. And I'm proud to say that my town here but has a local arcade. You guys can check out the adventures of the John of War, Willie Lowe, and myself as we go to Tilt Arcade Bar on my channel here. We do a really cool tour of that. And it's a great bar-themed arcade that we have in Ontario here. I love it. Frequent it quite often. $7, all you can play for the entire night? Come on. Come on. Oh, Ovechkin. Ovechkin is about to have the most goals in history. Okay. Interesting. And I just kind of assumed that Gretzky had like the records for pretty much everything. Offense-wise, right? He was center. Gretzky was a center. Oh, yeah. Neil says Ovechkin is going to break the Kings record. Wow. The Gaming Doctor. We're going to save this for when Willie's back. Who remembers the show American Gladiators? With such characters as Turbo and Ice and others. Who remembers watching this on a Saturday? Not necessarily playing the video game, but who remembers the show? Dude, it was so awesome. I remember like during the obstacle courses in American Gladiators, they would get behind. Remember those big guns? Or I think like one of the obstacles was the gladiator was shooting them with the guns as the contestants were trying to run. So good. Turbo and Laser, yes. Mutron says there's a good documentary. Let's highlight that. Good documentary about that on Netflix. About American Gladiators, really. Speaking of that, this has nothing to do with gaming. I've always been a big Jerry Springer fan, and I gotta say I watched the Netflix documentary, and it wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. Steve wasn't even in it, for God's sakes. So anyway, I don't know why. I was just along the lines of Netflix, just throwing out stuff out there. Deadly moves. It doesn't get any deadlier than a Kaneko game. Look at this horrible looking game. Deadly moves. Look at this picture right here. Whew. There was a 2000s reboot for American Gladiators, and Dontro says Amazon is currently rebooting American Gladiators. Really? See, I think that totally would work. That would totally work, you know what I mean? Sports at any time. I think, it was very hammy because it was the 90s, but you could really... Oh, dudes, I'm trying to think of... what was that show that it might have been like maybe 10 or 15 years ago? Would have been like maybe around 2010. That was like obstacle courses. Do you remember this? People were like running across like these big bouncy balls. Do you remember that? It was kind of similar to American Gladiators, except there was no gladiators trying to knock them off the course. What was that show called? I love Deadly Moves. It was terrible. It looks terrible. Wipeout. Yes. Look at all you guys. I remember Wipeout on the Wii. Do you remember Wipeout on the Wii? That was it. Thank you. That's going to drive me crazy. And now there's also, what's the one I think that's still going? Like the American Ninja Warrior. That one's sick as hell too. Very cool. You guys are awesome. Lost Vikings. Shout out to JP wherever you are. MXC on Spike. No. I'm trying to... What did that stand for? Spike had all that stuff, like 99 Ways to Die and all that stuff. Or is that a Megadeth song? It was something like that. And remember, like, the weapons, like, did these weapons exist? Whatever show that was. You remember that as well? I'm so bad with the names. These are all international Outlook games. If anything's catching your eye, please make sure you guys just throw it out there. Look, they're talking here a little bit about the original Street Fighter. The original Street Fighter game cast you in the role of Ryu. Of course it did, but nobody played it because the original Street Fighter was awful. Deadliest Warrior, Will, thank you. Yeah, there was a video game too. There's a 360 game, Deadliest Warrior, I remember. Guys, there's a... I want to bring up something here. I'm going to open my Steam for a second. Just bear with me. There's a game that I downloaded a demo for. I'm looking at my library here that you can get the demo for. If you like Deadliest Warrior... Oh, what's it called? Let me just look here. God, I have a lot of games on this thing. It's a physics-based game. What's it called? Oh, I can't find it. It's a physics-based weapon combat game. It's one-on-one. And it's like one of those fighting games where, like, if you slash a guy in the leg, you could take his leg off. What is it called? I'll write it in the Discord for channel members if I can come across it. I can't find it right here. Anyway, it's really super cool. But it's like that. It's awesome. It's like you can take, like, if you hit a guy with an axe in the head, you can, like, give him concussions and stuff. So it's not really based on half sword. Look, thank you, Dontro, for the win. That's it, half sword. You can get the demo for that now on Steam, guys. And if you liked America's Deadliest Warriors, it's like that. The game makes you feel really weird because, like, you just brutally hurt the other player. Yeah, the demo's out now. I don't think the full game's out now, but any Steam players, check it out. It's called Half Sword. Snatcher, look at that. Kojima. Who's played Snatcher? A very, very rare, expensive Sega CD game now. One I was thinking about streaming, but I don't know if it would do the greatest, given that it is, for the most part, a text-based-ish RPG. But some of Kojima's early work, anyone who has Snatcher on Sega CD, you can trade that in to buy a house. So good on you. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Eesh. For the Game Gear. Good luck on that one. Good luck on that one, guys. Moving right along here. These old school great ads. Absolutely love them. Tricks of the trade. We always kind of skip over. Feel free to pause the video at another time if you'd like to go back. You like all the indie games? Yeah, I would say some are better than the other. I don't think you were here, Dontro, but earlier in the broadcast, I was talking about Indiana Jones' Greatest Adventures on Super Nintendo. And although I would say The Great Circle is probably the best indie game, I would say second is the Indie's Greatest Adventures on Super. Hard as hell, but the game is so good. So very good. Those, in the vein of Super Star Wars, where absolutely everything is trying to kill you. There's rocks falling, there's spiders, there's pits, there's darts flying at you. That's just the first level. What are we here? We're on the next wave. So stuff coming out. Jaguar XJ220. I mean, that seems very specific, but I'm sure it did well. Can I sound like Kermit the Frog when you say moving right along? Like, can I imitate Kermit the Frog? I cannot. Are they way harder than Star Wars, really? I streamed that, Neil, like I think two years ago. My first year streaming. And we didn't get past Raiders because you can actually choose in the Indiana Jones game for Indiana Jones game for Super Nintendo. You actually can't choose what movie you want to do. You have to start at Raiders, which technically isn't accurate because Temple should be the first one. Actually, thank you very much. And Temple's my favorite movie, and I don't think I ever played. You know what? We should just pull out an issue of EGM and get our password and just start at Temple of Doom. Do you know what I mean? Start right at Temple. Minecart was good, was it? Yeah. Never played it. Temple first, absolutely. Kick some balls, Mutron. Kick some balls. Here you go. Dale says the only way I could play Jaguar was in the Atari collection. Yep. The Atari collection is great that they gave you actually a handful of Jag games. Dragon's Lair Batstan. Yeah, buddy. Some Don Bluth goodness. Look at this. Grip It. Oh, God, I have this sick fascination with third-party awful controllers. Look at this thing. Grip It. Grip It. For God's sakes. Grip It. Don't grip it in the chat. I'm just saying that's what it's called. Grip It. Hilarious. Also, what was with that 10-year period of video games where minecart sections were in every game? Oh, yeah, Donkey Kong Country, that kind of thing. Mitron says, I read a book yesterday about the world's most average sniper. He was a bit hit and miss. Buddy, you got to write a book. You should write a book of these jokes. Grip it good. Crack that grip? Nah. See, I'm not good at it. I'm not a joke maker. What do we got? An article on Street Fighter 3. Bartlett the Frog with another. Yeah, I can't do Kermit the Frog. I cannot do it. You want me to try? Let me try. No, I don't want to try. I'm not going to try. Unless I'm really super good or even a little bit above average on an impression, I'm not going to do it. Kermit the Frog, there's no chance. Can you guys do it? Let me hear your Kermit the Frog. Tempest 2000 is great, Dale. Rival Turf 2. Oh my God, there was a part 2. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Butters is here. What's up, bud? How you doing? You can Kermit. Okay. I believe you. I believe you. Third Strike was the best. That's an article that we're just going to skip over, Neil. It was, I think, speculation on when Street Fighter 3 would come out. But Turbo hasn't even come out yet. So we have 5 versions of Street Fighter 2 before we even get to 3. And I'll take your word for it. I skipped Street Fighter 3. To this day, I think I've played it once or twice. But got hard into Street Fighter 4 for sure. But I heard 3 is awesome. Dragon's Lair, here you go, Bat Stand for the Super. Was this one you were talking about that's like super difficult? X Zone. NBA Super Basketball. Electronic games. They even brought out just sports themed issues, man. EGM was just crushing it back in the day. Here's some dirty dipes for somebody. Couple pair of tidy whiteys for you over here. Gods. What is this game? By Mindscape. Divine Journey. The gods have thrown down the gauntlet to only the bravest and strongest warriors. Anybody remember Gods? Yeah, I'm trying to think of what, Neil, compilation Street Fighter 3 is on. Because that one seems to be absent from most of them. Or do you know which one it's on? Is it on the PS2 Anniversary Collection? I know the alphas are always on these collections, but I don't know if Street Fighter 3 is. Pro quarterback. Forgive me, guys, if I skip. Buddy, Willie, you just name it, man, and I'm good. Wherever you want to go, dude. Yeah, we gotta do another hunting video for sure. Absolutely. I don't go unless it's with you, dude. So I've limited any of my hunting. I won't even go on Marketplace anymore. That stuff's expensive, right? So we gotta save it for the shoots. Should be on the Street Fighter collection. Oh, what, for 360? Okay, I'll have to check it out. That's where, isn't Dudley come from there? I don't know. I don't know many of the warriors in Street Fighter 3. All I know is my beloved Charlie. They got to put Charlie in Street Fighter 6 and I'll be happy, but I don't think that's going to happen. We did just get Mai from, she from Samurai Showdown, I think. We got her and we got Terry from Fatal Fury. But again, I love those games, but I don't have the time to put into them. Right? Road Rash, here we go, the cover story. Road Rash by EA for the Sega Genesis. This game is friggin' killer. It's just an absolute blast. Every version of this game, the game itself, Road Rash on 3DO, was a system seller. Still, I think to this day, probably the greatest game on the 3DO. We're not there yet. But Road Rash 2 on Genesis, it's great, right? Illegal street bike racing. And you beat the crap out of everyone and you get first place. My looks fun. I've been watching Justin Wong play Street Fighter. Oh, Justin's amazing to watch. Yeah, see, dude, you're making me want to get into it. I do. I want to get into Street Fighter so bad. I bought it on PlayStation. I bought it on PS5, but I just don't have the time. I feel like with our community days, we do Fortnite, so all my practicing on that kind of level for games like that goes to Fortnite, right? I would love to get into it again. I don't have the time. Dontro says Marketplace hunting used to be great and cheap, but holy crap, it's gotten so expensive on Marketplace. And you know what, Dontro? Let me tell you about a few encounters I've had. I've had one really great one. Seller was boom, boom, boom. transaction done, great. He even shipped it above and beyond. But I've had so many bad interactions, and it reminds me of, and I'm not kidding, it reminds me of when I was on Tinder back in the day. 2015, 2016. The same kind of thing where you have a connection, you start talking with somebody, and then it's just like, whoop, nothing, ghost town. I've had so many interactions like that on Marketplace. They just stop talking. You get up to, on Marketplace, okay, where do you want to meet and what time? You know, it's like, do you have this game still? Yep, still got it. Can I see a few more pics of the game? Sure, they send it to you. Okay, when do you want to meet and what time? That's it. Road Rash 64 was amazing. Agreed. Willie says last week someone had a link to the past for $200 on Marketplace. I was leaving work, about to get it, and someone sniped it. You got to save that for the hunts, buddy. Save it. Save it. We should actually, Willie. We should go to, we should visit Don again. I feel like there's the, that one though that's in, I think it's just in Waterloo. It's not too far from here, man. If you want to go to that one, that's the one I was talking about that had the sealed Saturn Bomberman. That store was awesome. We can go to it, man. I just don't like driving on the highways in the winter, but that's completely up to you. We can white knuckle it for the hot softs. I'm totally fine with that. Turtles, the Hyperstone Heist. Great game. Same but slightly different version of Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo. I feel like we owe Dawn a visit. Yeah, but don't you want to do that this spring? I just do that. My fear is the snow. And Dawn is what? 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours away. That's the only problem. He's still upset about the second visit to Brody's. Hey, Brody reached out to us. Brody reached out to us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that had to do with the strict Nintendo licensing, right, Neil? So that was Konami's workaround where, you know, you couldn't have the exact same game for 2 years. So they're like, okay, well, we'll just change it slightly. And technically it's not the same game. Okay, let's do it then. Let's do it. Send me a text later and we'll plan a date. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I'm so down. Oh, who remembers Crisscross? You remember the edit and make your own music videos? Do you guys remember these? That we had the CNC Music Factory one right here for Sega CD. Then we had the Crisscross. Look at this. Look at this ad of just pure irritation and yet just wonder. CNC Music Factory, Crisscross, Sewer Shark, and Chuck Rock. Good Time Games. Dontro, I think that's the one. Again, Good Time Games was in Nintendo 64 Quest. Not to spoil anything. That is one of the locations that we did visit. That's the one I'm thinking of, Dontro, right? Chad's the owner. Yeah, we should go to that one, Will. I'm so bad with the names of the stores. Yeah, it's in Nintendo 64 Quest. So we'll figure that out. Yeah, Chad's awesome. He's such a good dude. Night Trap. Maybe Chad will have my red boxed version of Night Trap. Here's hoping. Here we go. You must protect these 5 people. God, I love this game. I love it. No, Good Time Games. Did he show me the back room? Yes. Yeah. We didn't shoot in the back room, but he showed us it. Yeah. Oh, Neil, pooey to you. Night Trap is awesome. Sewer Shark, we got all our full motion video goodness. I love it. Wonder Dog. Oh, I've never played Wonder Dog. It looks friggin' sick, though. By JVC. Good stuff. Good stuff. See, you like Sewer Shark, but not Night Trap? Get out of here. There's no comparison, man. No comparison. Night Trap is so much better. Did you ever play Bug Blasters? Bug Blasters is like Sewer Shark. It's just, you get like the full motion video graphics, but it's just a very average, like, not point and click, but move the reticle kind of shooter. Yeah, well, send me some dates. My video days are Monday through Wednesday, so if any of those work, we can make that happen because it's a shoot, right? So, yeah, Good Time Games I think we should go to next. For sure. Not good, just nostalgia, right? Sewer Shark I never spent a lot of time with, but that was a pack-in, like I said, with Sega CD. Look at this boss friggin' setup here. Look at this. Score big. The Namco Challenge. Look at this stereo, man. How great is this? Dale says, I do have Captain America and the Avengers. Really great Genesis game. I do enjoy the arcade. I wanted to play that at a bowling alley, but my grandfather and I were bowling with the family. I have a similar story, my friend, where we would go to our roller skating rink called Wheels. And I always wanted to go to the arcade, but my mom would always be like, oh, you can't spend too much time here because we came to roller skate. And that's the one that had like Dragon's Lair and all the good stuff, right? So I sympathize with you. I sympathize. I don't know if I like Sega's marketing campaign during this time. The North American, at least. It's okay, I guess, but I don't know. What do you guys think of this? Jay, if it's Thursday or Saturday, make sure you check out the one that I told you about. Yes, the market, right? Yep. Well, maybe Will and I can hit both of them. It depends on the day, but yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, those markets are a lot of fun. Yeah, and there's nothing that says we can't do shorter episodes too, right? If it's just like one or two booths. Who knows? The good thing about shooting these pickup videos that I really like that Will and I do is that you never really know what you're going to come across. Like it's like Nintendo Quest, right? You never know what's going to happen. That's the fun of it. The old credit card's about to take a hit. Easy. Oliver, good morning. Another EGM magazine. You're looking through. Yep, we got issue 41 from December of 1992. Oh, Dontro, that's awesome. I say go for it. I can't tell you how much I love the Nintendo 64. It's my favorite Nintendo system. 100%. I love it so much. I love the games for it. And shooting Nintendo 64 Quest was such an absolute pleasure. Just to get to go through all these games again. You know, some of them I never had, some of them I never played. So it was really, really cool just to get to go through all those again. You know, some games obviously are better than others. You know, we always give Earthworm Jim 3. We always razz that one. You know, and Castlevania. I'm a big fan of Castlevania. Some people don't like Castlevania, but I dig it. Matt Tracker says the Nintendo 64 was great unless you loved RPGs. Yes, so true. There wasn't many. Mutron says my mental health magazine failed. Too many issues. Oh, this guy. He's crushing the jokes. Do I have a lot of games for Nintendo 64? I got a few. I got a few. Yep. Yep. All the ones I have are CIB, complete in box, Raj. I don't buy 64 unless it's with the book in the mid. Well, the box at the very minimum. You can always find the book later. But for 64, I definitely need the box for it. So I got a few. You guys did something really cool, especially like in the OG Nintendo Quest. You managed to host a documentary while also making games the star of the show. Yeah, well, it's important, right? And when we were writing Nintendo Quest, like it was important. How do I say this? We had to tell the story of me in my journey, but I also wanted it, and Rob wanted it to highlight other people in the industry, right? So I like the segments with me, of course, but I wanted other people in it too. So it was important to get other collectors, to have people from the industry in it. So I think 64 does that even better, where it bounces between my story and then you'll learn a bit about Ocarina of Time. And it'll bounce back to my story, then it bounces back to 64 Peripherals. It was on Jinx the other day, really. That's cool, man. Very, very cool. Quick shot. Quick shot. Nobody ever in the history of gaming said, you know what I want for Christmas, Mom? I want a quick shot controller. But 30 million users can't be wrong. Are you trying to tell me, Quick Shot, that you sold 30 million units? Look at them. They're all awful. So this one we saw at Game Cycle. I believe we saw this one. If you guys haven't checked out our latest game hunting video, it is in our hometown here, and it's our home away from home. Shout out to Game Cycle. We finally shot there, and it was great. So check it out. We find a lot of stuff like this in it. All right, Willie. Check you later, buddy. Have a good one, guy. Super off-road. What is this here? Look at that. Look at the colors of the font. You can't even read what it says. Now gamers can go where they've never gone before, to their friend's house with a teleplay system. Look at this. Yeah, 30 million. I don't think that's accurate. I agree, Neil. This internet thing's just a fad. It's never going to take off. I don't remember if this ever came out. Here's one for your Genesis and for your NES. But, oh my goodness. Kisses for everybody. Dirty Larry. Dirty Larry Renegade. Is this for Lynx? Yep. I remember this was a system seller back in the day. Dirty Larry. Not to be confused with Leisure Suit Larry. This was obviously, I think, a cross between him and Dirty Harry. Did I say this on one of my game streams? And it was, I think, it was a random TikTok I came across. I think I did say it, but for those of you who weren't there, I'm going to say it again. And this is from like some random TikTok I saw. But do you guys remember when the internet used to be a place that you had to go to? Do you remember it was like you had to go to your computer, and only at your computer could you go to this place called the internet? Do you remember those days when the internet wasn't always with you 24/7? It was like something to do. So, it's like you're done your favorite show on a Sunday night. What are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to go on the internet. And so you would go and sit down at the computer, and that was actually a thing. God, I miss that. I don't want to sound old, but I miss that, man. As much as I love the internet now, having it on you 24/7, I think is brutal. Of course, it's up to me, right? It's up to me to put down the device, but come on, let's be realistic. All our phones are grafted to our hands, are they not? Oh, look at this deleted scene here from A New Hope. Han Solo is pictured with Jabba as filmed in Star Wars. The old Scottish actor who was the original Jabba the Hutt. I miss the dial-up sound. Do you remember when, Neil, you're trying to play an online game? I'll cite StarCraft is one that I used to play in the late 90s when, my mom got a computer that was good enough to play games, at least StarCraft. I remember playing StarCraft, and the phone would ring, and I would have to yell upstairs, "Mom, don't pick up the phone!" And I remember it would be my buddy Darren or Rob calling to connect so we could play StarCraft versus each other. And through the computer, you could hear my mom, "Hello? Hello?" And I'm like, "Oh." And I'd have to go upstairs, tell my mom, "Don't pick up the phone." I have to go back downstairs to the computer, call my buddy Darren, and say, "Okay, can you try again?" Do you guys remember that? Let's get back to those times. No. Average Gamers here. Good morning, you legend. Good to see you. I remember these two Ren and Stimpy toys. Dontro says, "Man, I've been looking everywhere for DK64 Nintendo 64 controller. I collect the controllers and I need that one so bad. Also, the dang Jeffrey controller, and of course, the golden E3 controller." Yeah, that green 64 is still my favorite. My mom brought that home when I was sick one day. So I still have it. Actually, can you see it here? Yeah, see it? Right there. That's my main 64 is the Donkey Kong green one right there. All because of her. All because of her. We got some Deep Space Nine television talk, Matt Rubin. The Ren toy looks like he's been through some stuff. Yeah, he's had enough of Stimpy's idiocies. Idiosyncratic routine? What? Anyway, moving on. Alien versus Predator interview. Oh, look at this. This is when McFarlane was jumping on the scene with Image. Very interesting if Cutthroat's still here. Here's a great article on Todd McFarlane's company, Image. Who remembers Image Comics and when they jumped onto the scene to go against Dark Horse, to go against Marvel, to go against DC? McFarlane, who was already an award-winning artist, who did such issues of Spider-Man, G.I. Joe, just to name a few. McFarlane now started his own studio called Image Comics and led the charge with his creation, Spawn. I love Todd McFarlane. I think he's an incredible artist. I can't remember the Joe issue. Any of you Joe guys in the chat? It's Marvel G.I. Joe. I think it's in the 60s. It's got Zanzibar on the cover with, I think, Duke or Hawk. But that cover McFarlane did. Just awesome stuff. Yeah, here you go. Youngblood, Brigade, Spawn, Savage Dragon. Didn't Liefeld do Wildcats? I can't remember. Impossible Pie, good to see you. Love that Spawn image. Yeah, and Spawn #1. Although it's not a high value comic anymore. I love that cover too. Shadowhawk is another one. I remember picking up Shadowhawk, and we all got multiple issues of #1 because we thought we were going to, in like 20 years, we're going to be able to buy like a house. So my buddy and I went, down to our local comic book store, Heroes, and I remember getting multiple issues of all of these and saving them. I think Spawn 1 is worth about $30 Canadian. Not worth much. Oh my God, look at this stuff, guys. All this stuff right here. Look how amazing this is, this old Mario art. You remember this shelf here? Can you guys see that okay? God, I remember, I'd say it was maybe about 15 years ago, driving home from my work at Pizza Hut, on my way home, seeing this Vario Mario shelf on the side of the road put out for garbage day. And I drove right by it, no word of a lie. And then I'm like, holy crap. Turned around. By the time I turned around and went back, it was gone. Someone was just going to toss this out. So good, man. I love the old Mario art, like the Donkey Kong era stuff. Just so great. I wish they would do a Mario game where he looked like that again. Where, you know what I mean? Like, even it was before he became like very westernized, kind of Disney-ish, where he almost looked like Popeye. It's just like my absolute favorite. Not like this. Not Mario 2 style. Oliver says 92 was the year Image Comics was born. Wildcats, Youngblood, Wetworks, Gen 13, and Max. Savage Dragon, Cyberforce were the comics I read back in high school and college. Yeah, man. Yep. That was good times. We had the Infinity Gauntlet. We had the Death of Superman. We had Jim Lee's X-Men. All those really big issues. Do you do many garage sales, Dontro? No, I do not. I've just found, since, again, the internet's in the palm of our hand now, more and more people, if not the majority, are looking up what they have. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying you can't find deals like that anymore, but I don't do that stuff. The back of EGMs always have ads for these game stores, and I love it. I think they're just awesome. I wish we had more independent game stores that dealt with imports, although I think most stuff is regional free now, so it's not that big of a deal like it was back in the 90s, where the Saturn games, the Saturn system itself would be completely different looking, color-wise at least, from the North American one. And shout out to Die Hard Video Games, again, in Michigan. They're no longer here, but a great import store we used to go to. Game Over, and the Game Over section of EGM is always the ending of a game. Shout out to Soul Blazer. And a big shout out to Retro Mags. Guys, please check out retromags.com. They have archived all these amazing issues. That's where we get our mags to read along to. So check out Retro Mags. You can even read along with us on a future issue of EGM if you would like to. There you go. Not bad. Not bad. Shout out to Sonic 2. I think Sonic 2 got Game of the Month there. Game of the Month. So yeah, I think we might be, Willie and I might be hitting the road sometime soon. And it looks like Good Time Games. We might be hitting that up in the next couple weeks. So looking forward to that for sure. Everyone excited about Take-Two's announcement that GTA 6 is going to be, in fact, this year, like they said. I'm so looking forward to it. And the poll ends with 60% of you guys think that there will be another Xbox console. I will say I don't think that there will be. Yeah, GTA 6 is going to be amazing. I can't wait. I watched the trailer again last night. I haven't watched the trailer since it dropped in December of 2023. God, that was a long time ago. Guys, I got tears in my eyes. All in-game... Dogs are barking. All shots with all in-game too. Nothing cinematic about it. All using the in-game engine is what I was trying to say. That Impossible Pie, let's bring that up. That's the big rumor going around. And I don't know where that started. But somewhere, somehow, people seem to think that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be $100 US. We were talking about this in one of the game streams from last week or the week prior. And I said, to me, it's really not that big of a deal because the quality of game we're going to get justifies it for me. So for me, it doesn't matter. Also, if you're someone who collects collector's editions of games or special editions, it's around that price anyway. Just look at it this way. Look at the quality of the game you're going to get in Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't know. Is it just me, guys? Or does $20 seem like it's not that big of a deal? Matt says Microsoft is heading in the PC route. It's costing them too much to continue to manufacture consoles. I agree. And nail on the coffin, Matt, and I'm sure you would agree, is putting Halo on the PlayStation. Why do I need an Xbox console? Especially when I prefer the controls of PC, right? Anyone play GTA 1 from 1997? Yep. I've played it. It's different. But it's definitely a pioneering game. Average Gamer says, I think the Xbox, after seeing the PS5 Pro specs and the crazy price, especially with Canadian dollars, may be the final Xbox console. I mean, if we look, I know you guys can't see my Series X games or even my Xbox One game selection. It's maybe like that. 10 total games in a decade, over a decade. There's just not a lot of exclusives on Xbox. I mean, I got a Series X for Starfield. I don't know, man. Dontro says, do you think Microsoft will come up with an Android box type thing? Yes. I think Xbox will be a terminology that will be more of a brand than a system. I totally agree with you there. Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. 100%. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We're going to see just Nintendo and PlayStation as far as console games go. Nintendo, will always make console games. So I can't see PlayStation doing that. We're going to focus here. I can't see PC gaming ever becoming just the only way we play games. I just don't see it happening. Not everybody wants to or likes. How do I say this? This is not to insult PC gaming, okay? But it's not as easy most times as plug in and play on PCs. Would you agree with that? I would say the majority of people just want to plug in and play, especially the casual average gamer. They want to just do that. Would you not agree? I like PC gaming. I do. But I think there will always be that need for console gaming. So I don't think they're going to go away completely. Now, would I like to see another company come in? Absolutely. I would like to see Atari come in with another console, but I don't think it's going to work. I would like to see a brand new company come in, I do. I wonder if I had purchased Starfield on PC with the controls, I wonder if I would have liked it more. You guys remember my streams we did Starfield? I couldn't aim worth a lips. I couldn't. I've just become so accustomed to keyboard and mouse now. That's my baby. 4 shooters. So when we were trying to play Starfield, man, bad. We got a super chat, first of the day. Thank you so much to our good pal Tulgi Zero with the 668. I have over 250 digital games on my Series X. Treats for Liam and Ghost. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. Again, if you guys are looking to support the channel, become a channel member. There are 3 different levels. You get to play with us on community days, get access to the Discord, and you get to hang out. I do appreciate all the donations I get, guys. Needed to survive. So thank you so much, Zero, for that. I appreciate it. Chad is here. Good morning. Just woke up. Make sure you guys are checking out Chad's live stream tonight. Make sure you check it out. We got Pete here. Good to see you, Pete. I think we could see Steam could try to enter the main console space further by making the next Steam Deck more of a hybrid. You could easily transfer play to your TV. And I see Xbox making gaming. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting year. I just sense the Xbox One, which I think is a complete flop of a system. I just do. I mean, if we go back Christmas past, their exclusive system seller was Forza, and not to throw shade at car racing games at all, but that's not a Christmas system seller. We had that for so many years. We simply need more. We simply need more, and my Series X and Xbox One collection are so small, and I'm a guy who collects for all systems. So, I don't know. I don't know where the future lies with Xbox, but I know that Halo coming to the PlayStation it's mind-blowing. It really is. Oops. Comments. You guys have been an absolute wonderful audience. Thank you for chilling. Thank you for having coffee with me and the Beatles this Sunday. And thank you for the support. I will see you guys either Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how far I get with the video creating this week. You guys are the best. Oh, Pete, that's okay, buddy. Appreciate you being here. Anytime. Anytime. Thanks, guys. We will see you guys in a few days. Yeah, have yourself a good one. Do something fun for yourself on this Sunday. Make sure you take time for yourself to game, to go toy hunting, watch that movie that you've been trying to watch and that you love. It's important, and I do mean this. It is important to take time for yourself and put yourself first sometimes. All right, my friends. Until next time. Cheers.